Hey everyone, welcome back to the Heaps Creative Podcast, the show where we uncover creative archetypes and find all of those things that creative people have in common. I'm your host, Tyler Jackson Chappell. Today I sat down with Nathan Leighton, aka Sticks of Sticks by Sticks. Nathan is the creator of spiritual chariots and foam dance floors. And through his practice of shaping surfboards, Nathan explores creativity and connection to nature and his fellow humans. Something I learned in this chat is that at heart, Nathan is a teacher. He's somebody who really respects the importance of lineage, but is also more than happy to share his knowledge with anyone who shows genuine interest in learning. Probably my biggest takeaway from this chat is the importance of supporting local makers. And people like Nathan are taking a step outside of these kind of constructs that we've built to do something really interesting and really cool. So I hope you enjoyed this chat with Nathan. I definitely learned a lot. Nathan Leighton, surfboard shaper, aka Sticks by Sticks.
Tyler Jackson, how are you going?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming onto the Heaps Creative Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So as well as a surfboard shaper, you're also a voiceover artist.
Yes, apparently.
Yeah, tell me about that.
I sort of just, it all happened randomly, really. I was just working in my bay and then got approached by like 4 crew who turned out to work for Fleurieu magazine and a few other different, no, not Fleurieu magazine, SA Tourism and a few other companies, and yeah, just expressed that they were doing an ad campaign for the Fleurieu coast and wanted me to initially just be a part of the video and inside my bay, and that turned into voiceovers, which is quite a daunting new thing for me, but yeah, had good feedback from it, so it's good.
And that was the first time you'd done anything like that?
Ever, yeah. I don't put myself out in that sort of way, so very new thing.
I mean, that's the cool thing about doing creative work, though. Like, it attracts other creative people and like leads to all these weird, interesting opportunities.
Definitely, yeah. You never know what's going to come around the bend, really. Like, you don't expect half of these things that happen, but they come around, so you got to accept them when they come through and make the most of it, I guess. Yeah.
Any more on the cards?
No, I'm happy to stay away from the camera for a while. The crew was very lovely to work for, all very like-minded people with, I think, similar to this podcast's intention. They all really care about the area and who's involved in it and showcasing that. And that was a nice feeling. That definitely calmed the nerves, that they were just real people at the end of the day. It's not like news reporters and scary stuff like that. That
is one of the funny things, like speaking to a lot of people, but just for an example, Em from Pink Shorts Press, who I interviewed a little while ago, that seems like this massive, big organisation, but it's 2 people.
Yeah. It's hard to, you don't know what goes in behind the scenes and like how much of an operation things can be. And that was definitely eye-opening.
Yeah, I think with a lot of creative fields, it's just people who like really care about what they're doing.
100%. The day they filmed at my bay, I think it was like 16 people in my bay.
Yeah, wow.
All cameras, makeup people, everything. It's like, wow, all that for 10 seconds of footage at the end of the day. But it's cool to see.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Cool to be a part of.
Yeah. But shaping's the thing.
Shaping's the thing, yeah.
And did you get into it, obviously, surfing first?
Yeah. I've sort of got a different bit of a story than the traditional person that makes boards, I guess, in the fact that, like, I didn't start surfing when I was 3 years old, and my dad's not a legend shaper or surfer or anything like that. I'm one of the only people in my entire family that gets around the ocean. So it was a new thing for me, but yeah, it kind of just came from being bored, I guess. And I've always worked with my hands, like as a kid making stuff out of wood, and I used to hustle making like longboards, like skateboards when I was at school. That was an old little side hustle, and I think that translates into the field I'm in now, just pushing to wanting to be creative and have a way to make something like that.
So you did have other creative outlets when you were younger, like woodwork?
Yeah, I was always part of woodwork and wood tech at school. And then just at home, if it was like making skateboards or making slingshots or anything you could make with your hands, I just always tried to be making something. So definitely helps. Yeah.
So what drew you to shaping?
For me, I love I don't know what side you'd call this, but like the practical side of what people make, like it's like sculpting or something. You start with a big canvas and you're refining it to have a purpose at the end. And I love like the intricate side of boards and what you need to be able to like see with your eyes and feel with your hands versus measure out, or I don't know. It's a nice avenue for dialing something in your own way. It's like sculpting. So I like that side of things, and making things that my friends can keep for life is a big part of it too.
And it's a pretty interesting, like, I think a lot of, even like you mentioned with building a skateboard or something, and woodwork is kind of different to something like maybe ceramics where you're building something. This is like a subtractive process, so you really have to understand before you dive in, like what you're doing.
Big time. Yeah, a lot of people don't think of that side of things. Like there's a lot of risk and reward in it, in the fact that if you mess up any step, like it's very hard to return from that.
Can't add foam back.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's daunting, but that's a side of it where you have to sort of know what you're doing and have to know how your environment is and the materials you work with and stuff to make it work at the end, which is nice.
And did you teach yourself, or did you have a mentor or somebody who kind of showed you the ropes?
I had heaps of mentors. So I initially went over to New South and Queensland just to work in production factories. So I was basically a part of the mass production system, just sanding boards all day, and that in itself is something you have to learn, and I had people to show me that side of the way, and I was there for about 3 years in the end, and in the end you just end up making boards all day, all week for next to nothing. And it's all the high-end brands, so it's your DHDs, it's Channel Islands, it's the Surfboard warehouse, like mass production facilities. And yeah, I just learnt most of my stuff from people in the same boat as I am now. They're just either working a carpentry job and then they make boards for their friends and stuff, and they tend to be the people who are happy to give you knowledge, whereas obviously the legends in the field and stuff, it's not like you can just go up and say, how do I make a board? Show me in a day. It's a long process. So it's a lot of trust and respect and earning your place, I guess. But again, it was a good thing to be a part of, I think. Like, you get so much more respect for the craft itself and a lot more understanding of what actually goes into it. Because I just find it's not something that's super showcased, especially in South Oz. Like, there's not too many people you can go around and see how a board's constructed or be a part of the process, whereas over there, every corner of every street has a surf shop or a shaping shed or people making boards out their backyard. So it's definitely an accessibility thing. So it's nice to be a part of that too and be able to show friends what goes into boards, and customers having a bit more of that tight relationship with who you make boards for or repair boards for.
And it's pretty interesting, like, whether it is social media or the internet as a whole, like, I feel like a lot of art forms have been kind of the veil's been drawn, which has a lot of positives. Like there's a much smaller barrier to entry. People can see how it's made. They can dive in and try it themselves. But it seems like shaping is something you really need that like disciple, hand it down, lineage kind of relationship, which I think is like obviously pros and cons, but a really cool thing to be a part of.
Absolutely. It is. It's good to be a part of it correctly, I think is the way. Like, you're not skipping steps. And in saying that, with social media and the internet these days, like everything's so accessible. And there's of course like YouTube and how I made my first surfboard, how you make this, and people just straight away go, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, but there's so many factors that come into making a board. Like, not everyone has a space for it. People don't know like the fumes that go into all the materials you use, the fumes and the dust, and how bad that is for you. But it is a fine line as well, because also with those legends and higher up shapers that have been doing it since the 60s, 70s and further on, you can't get knowledge from those guys because it's a safeguarded thing and it's something they had to go through the process too of. But with putting it out and being a person to put it out, you also want to safeguard it in a way, especially being new. I don't want to go online and go, here's my entire process of how I make boards, now you go do it. I'd rather invite people in that are interested in knowing the intricacies of it, and those who care about what goes in. It's great to be able to have someone in a room and cut a board out of a big block of foam and then make it hard with resin and cloth. Like, it's pretty cool. And pretty it up along the way. So
there's like a responsible level of gatekeeping.
I think so, yeah. There's a level to it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be the guy that's telling everyone everything, which I try not to do. I'm shocking with social media myself anyways. I don't like putting out anything really, but it's the way the world is now. That's where the business is. You got to have a platform to make a portfolio and showcase what you do. And it can definitely be taken a lot of different ways, as like selling yourself to showcasing all your stuff instead of keeping it core in quotations and just doing the work and putting it in shops and, yeah, not speaking on it. But I like to have a balance between the two.
Yeah. And like you said, it's that thing about inviting people in to be a part of the whole process and not just, take this idea, it's super easy, go run with it. It's like, no, there's actually a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, 100%.
Come be a part of it.
Big time.
Yeah.
And especially over here, it's such a, as I said, hard thing to access. Like, there's only limited amount of people in South Australia that make boards, and majority of those places are either homes that have turned into shaping spaces or backyarders, or it's the people with big factories and they've got their own operation. They don't have time to show people all that side. So it's nice to have access to that.
Do you see yourself as a bit of a medium between those?
I do. I like to. I'm not a medium to everyone, I don't think, because like being where I'm set up in Port Elliot, there is a lot of foot traffic that come through and want to see your space and see what's going on, which is great. But at the end of the day as well, like if you're sitting down and showing someone hours of like what goes into this, you almost need to like delegate a time to sit down and really go through it with someone. But the people that really want to know that, they make it known, so that's easy in itself. It's a tough one.
And I think we were speaking before we started recording, like there's, I think like that medium space is such an important one. Like, you can obviously get so much from, the people who are top of their field, and then there's the people who are maybe shouldn't be putting all the stuff out there, but are. There's a lot of value in seeing people who are doing it, who are making a career and a life in this creative space.
Absolutely.
But on like a bit more of an accessible kind of level.
Yeah, definitely. It is a tough thing, because Queensland, for example, like quite a lot of sheds, they offer, like, it's not classes, but kind of sessions, where it's make your own surfboard, see how it's shaped by one of the gurus, who's more than often like someone who's shaped boards since the 80s, 70s, 60s, whenever. And these things are like thousands of dollars to do. And the person at the end of the day might be able to be in the bay while said shaper is shaping, witnessing it, and then they tell him, oh, I want it painted with red stripes and a skull here. And then 2 weeks later, oh, they've got a board. And I think that's just such a, I don't know, I couldn't do that. I just couldn't, I don't know, I couldn't sell a class like that for $50 and feel all right about it. I'd like to just tell those who are interested how to do it. And that's definitely something to try and learn as time goes on and where I can fit in that realm.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, and obviously kind of finding that space as far as like the process of making goes. But do you think you could articulate for people who maybe aren't like avid surfers, what the difference between like a locally made, like even taking into consideration like the local break and those kind of things, hand-shaped board versus like a mass-produced off-the-shelf?
100%. Well, my biggest thing is kind of, as someone making boards, you want to have an intimate relationship in just knowing how the board will be surfed, who's going to surf it, where they surf it. So making boards for locals, like most of my clients are my friends. And so I know what they're like, I know how they are on boards, which I've got an upper hand to most people in that realm because my clients just pretty much my group of mates. But with mass-produced, it's like, yes, these boards are very good boards and they work for the world's very best, but it's a copied and pasted theory at the end of the day. There's no singularity to it. There's no personalisation of maybe you'd like this aspect or whatnot. You can just go into a store and get exactly what Mick Fanning won at Snapper the year before or something like that. There's no, the shaper's not thinking about you. It's just a generalised, I'll make this for the population and that will sell and that will work. So you sort of have to mould yourself to the board more than the board being moulded to exactly what you prefer and what you like, I guess. And aside from that, it's just the support side of thing. Big dudes don't care who you are, or they're not thankful that you bought one of their 250 boards in a surf shop to a local guy that you might not have met or is in your circle or is around. It means the world. And for any creative, like what Ailish said on her podcast with you, like it's a big, I don't know what the word is, it's a big thing when you can get sales, pardon me, when you can get sales versus when you can't, and the disruption that will have on work, feeling as if the product you're making isn't exactly what everyone wants just because they're not buying it. But in reality, it's like the comfort side of things, what people know, and people know the big brands and social media. Social media will show you all the newest boards from the biggest brands and the flashy things that come with that. But yeah, I think if you're buying mass-produced, it's got a time and place. Obviously, these boards are great for conditions and certain things, but it's just not as specific as how someone can make you a board for the person you are, where you are surfing, and stuff like that. I think Gravelle Surfboards in Streaky is a great example of that. They're based in Streaky in Penong, and they make boards for all the boys around there. Like everybody over in Streaky is on a Grav, and they're built to surf big waves. They're built for the location, and they're also personal, and they're a great medium, I think, between that mass production versus personal hand shapes, or if it's CNC made, like off a machine, whatever it is, they're in that nice pocket where you don't go down to, I don't know, your local surf shop and you see heaps of Gravelles. You don't really. There's Daily Grind and stuff, they stock Gravelles. But they're not just accessible for everyone. It keeps that relationship there, I think, and keeps it sort of close to home, which is nice. I think it's an important part of staying true to what you make and to where you want to be situated, like making something specific to the person and the location. I think you get that a lot more with people who hand shape and that kind of realm than, I don't know, Darren, whatever his last name is, DHD, out in Queensland, who he's got 50 workers working for him and pumping out boards. Obviously, these guys started at a small level as well, but I think just nowadays, with so many more creatives coming out and people pursuing these creative avenues, like myself, you see a lot of new shapers popping up, and I think it is a good thing to support them and see where their own journey sort of grows in its own way and its own new generation of it. Yeah.
I think it's an interesting kind of, it shows up in a lot of kind of creative practices, is the idea of like, you got to learn the rules before you can break them, and like the benefit of like yourself going over and actually learning from people who've been doing it for a long time, and then coming back and putting all those things into action in like the way that you actually see being the most beneficial for clients and people who you're making for. Yeah. Again, opposed to, like you said, seeing a video on YouTube and maybe knowing how to cut a surfboard shape out of like a blank, but not actually understanding how to make a board for a specific person. Yeah.
And that relation too of like shaper to customer, you can't go to these big guys and say, oh, hey, Britt Merrick, how's Channel Islands going? You're so good at shaping boards, can you show me some stuff about this? Like the local guy that lives down the road from you, he's happy to chat to you about that and to show, or if you're taking it up on your own at home, bring it in to your local guy and he'll probably be excited to see you're tapping into his world and you're going to them wanting to learn more. There's a lot to be learned from your local shaper, I think, or local repairer or anyone in the field.
I think that's like pretty universal across creative fields.
Absolutely.
Like getting into poetry, it seemed like this pretty abstract world, but and I don't know if it's people who are maybe into more niche kind of creative practices, but people are so stoked to talk about what they're into and they're so happy to share knowledge, and it's just about asking the question,
starting the conversation, really being respectful in it, because no one just goes up to, I don't know, Ailish doesn't go up to Jerry Wed saying, oh yeah, sick vases, how'd you make that? And then that's the rest. It's like there's a lot of love that goes into it, and I think the people that will get the most out of either a shaper or a master potter or a poet of years is someone that shows genuine interest and care for how someone else does it, and not directly going, I'm going to take everything you do now, but melding it into your own process and system, and you take some and you leave some. And that's a good part of it, I think. Yeah.
Honestly, that's a big part of the reason I started the podcast, is I was so fascinated with different people's practices. But like you said, it almost felt disrespectful to throw myself at them wanting to know about everything. Yeah. And I saw this as an opportunity to learn about people and learn about their practices and learn about all these incredible different art forms in what I thought would be a pretty respectful way.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're doing it well.
Thanks, I appreciate it. But yeah, like you said, there's obviously a lot of thought for you goes into the actual process side of it. But you're a pretty esoteric guy. Like, what do you see as the connection between like shaping and surfing for you or for anyone, and like vice versa?
Yeah. For me, like the big parts of it, like what matters to me, obviously in my earlier years in this field, it's been a lot of friend-based stuff, and it's been really important to me, at least the start of my hopeful career in this, is that I've made most of my mates boards that they'll be able to keep when we're all older, hopefully all doing the same thing. And it's a thing that holds so much memory. Like, I think everyone who does get out and surf and finds pleasure in it remembers times when they were away and having that beautiful board and in that beautiful place with beautiful people. And that means a lot to me. It's more than a lot of the technical side of, oh, this rail was shocking, and like there's that side to it. But for me, I'm not so much invested in brutal on myself for making mistakes or making not a perfect thing. It's just being able to make something memorable for someone and having them a part of that is a big thing for me. In terms of like shaping to surfing, that's definitely, sorry about that. That's definitely catering to the more like my friend side of things. But personally, like when I shape boards for myself and stuff, that's where I get technical, and that's where I'm really like looking for what I can do next or different ideas on how I want to mould my style, I guess. And it's been nice. Like, it's a big privilege being able to do something you like on something that you made. It's a big thing. Like, for me, I like getting out and being able to go, oh man, like that was made by my hands and that did this perfectly. Like, I'm doing something right if I'm feeling this from it. So it's good to be able to translate then going from that personal side and adapting it to what you make for other people and perfecting it by doing all maybe the risky stuff for yourself, and then the finished streamlined product is for the rest of the population, I guess. But yeah, just from shaping to surfing, it's just relating it all back, what worked and what didn't work, and what I'd like my selection of things available to fit. Like, do I want to be a performance surfboard maker? No, not really. I like to tap into the more experimental side and not be so much of a copy and pasted shaper, which I think comes out from hand shaping boards. No board is exactly the same that I make, which I like. I like that I can't copy something exactly or go, I'll make you, two of these identical boards. Like, you're getting two different boards, so there's freedom in that, which is nice.
Yeah, and definitely having a part of yourself in the board, like, that's obviously going to come through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think you need to be a good surfer to be a good shaper, or just like proficient enough to, like you said, when you go out to test something, you need to be able to feel it?
Yeah, there's definitely all aspects of that. Like, I've made plenty of boards that I wouldn't necessarily think myself I could surf at the best that board could be surfed. I'm no red hot surfer, like, by any means, but I love surfing, and that's where I can sort of hand those boards to other friends who fit that criteria, and they're very good surfers, and then at the end of the day they just get a new board to try out and come back to me with, oh, this worked, this didn't work, put that away, do this next time.
So like communication is like almost more important.
Big time, yeah. It's but yeah, demoing boards is definitely a big part of it, being able to give boards to other people to then see what they think about it. You get so many lessons from that, and again, you got to choose who you sort of delegate that to, because you could be getting feedback you don't need, and you don't need a tweak in reality, but everyone's opinions are different on how things work or how they should work. So it's interesting taking everyone's thoughts and ideas.
Yeah, so like probably like a much more subjective process than people outside of it would realise.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And no two people are the same. Like, I've given many of my boards to multiple people, and some tell me that's the worst board in the world, and some say that's a magic carpet. Like, there's no in between. So it's nice taking all of what you want, like taking knowledge from a mentor or something. You take the bits you need, you take the bits you don't need, and you just go onwards and upwards from there.
Do you like keep a very strict track of what you're doing? Like, do you take notes on like, dimensions and those kind of things? Or is it like all in your head? And do you then like make those tweaks if you do get feedback you're after? Yeah, I write so much. I have books and books and books. So like, I think that will change over time once I am doing a lot more boards in volume sense of things. But for now, while it's like doing a handful of boards monthly and whatnot, you can be more personal and attached to knowing everything about that board. And I like to keep a track record of everything I've done and know where everything is, know whose hands it's in, what it looks like, dimensions wise. There's so many avenues of like maintaining that history of what you did and then looking back at it and where you are now and what's changed in that time. I was going to say that'd be such a special thing in like 20, 30 years to be able to go back and see what your work was like.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. Like, I hope I'm still in the field in those days, like at that point making somewhat of a business out of it or a livable business, and then being able to look back at all the years. Like I've said, one of the main things I've said to my friends is like, I don't really care about being one of those guys that makes 100 boards a week and has a massive crew. I'd feel success in seeing my boards like yellowed out, crusty, with compressions ridden through them for $50 at Cash Converters. Like, if I see that or on Marketplace, I'm like, hell yeah, they're getting around. Like, I'm doing the right thing. So that's success for me in that realm. But definitely looking forward to years down the line, looking back and seeing the progress. Be cool.
Sure it'll happen.
Yeah, I hope so.
I know you said like you didn't want to give too much away as far as process goes, because obviously, we don't want a bunch of people running out and trying to do it themselves. Which, if you're listening, like go to your local shop and and learn there. But what does some of your process look like?
Well, basically, for making a board, you're starting out with a slab of foam. It's like sculpting out of rock. You start with a big slab and you're essentially using a planer that you use on wood or whatnot to carve down this blank layer by layer by layer to sort of uncover a board in the middle of it. And there's so many things that go into it, like just materials for people that don't really consider what goes into making them. To make a board, you need firstly a blank, a planer. You need templates of the shape that you want to make. You need like all these different avenues of equipment, and that's where it's tricky for like one person, because you can't just grab one blank and then have all the materials or the equipment to shape a board, because then afterwards it's like, I got all this equipment and I don't know, I just made one board, what do I do with all this now? You sort of got to be in the field, or that's why I say go to a local who has it all and has a bay, and just bring them a blank and say, I'm interested in making this, would you be able to help me? And more than often they will. But all that goes into it is a lot of measuring and a lot of looking at light and shadows, because you set up your blank in your room on your stands and you have lights from the side coming over it, and that's how you basically, by eye, are judging your concaves, your rolls, your foils, and everything like that. And it's an interesting process because everyone does it differently and there's no right way to do it. But yeah, definitely talking to someone around in the field helps you to get a gist of like where you should start at least. And there is good avenues down in SA for people to do it. I think the SA industry of surfboards, the people within that are quite lovely people across the board. So we're lucky with that. Whereas you go to Queensland and stuff and everyone hates everyone. If you're surfing this here, you're disrespecting that person and stuff. And over here, I don't think it's so much that. But definitely for me as well, like finding a place here, I don't want to disrespect the guys who have been in the industry in SA since cut loose days and power plug days and all the legends that made boards growing up here and working in the factories. I don't want to tread on any toes. I just want to be like a part of that, and I got so much respect for those guys who did it core in the early days and still hustling it out. You don't want to get in the way of those guys at all. So it's nice to be a part of, I think.
You use the word uncovering the board, like when you're shaping.
Mm-hmm.
Do you fully plan out what it's going to be before you start, or is it a bit of an intuitive process?
It depends on the board, but most of the time I have an idea for what the intention of the board is. And when you are dealing with templates, which is basically a half cut out outline of your board, which you put down your middle stringer and you flip it over and trace that out. That's your outline. When you make templates, that carries the intention of what the board is going to be like. But obviously there's different tweaks in everything. Like you can make every rail different on the same template over 10 boards, and you can change tail shapes, you can change the nose, you can add different features like channels and stuff. But normally when a customer comes to me like asking for this type of board, I'll just either display what I've done in the past or what I'm keen to do or what I've got in stock and how I can tweak it. And it's definitely a lot easier when someone's coming to you in person rather than on the phone like, hey man, I want a 9.6, I want it like this out of epoxy and I want these certain features. Like I don't do epoxy work, and well, more than often I don't, and that's something you got to know about the person making your board, I guess. Like
can you explain, like for people who aren't into surfing, can you explain what that means?
So epoxy is just a different type of foam and resin. They're the two main constructs of board, is either epoxy boards or polyurethane, which is the typical standard board with a stringer, whereas epoxy, they're more than often stringerless, so they don't have the foundations of central strength through them. But when you glass epoxies, you incorporate carbon fibre and stuff like that to bring the rigidity into it. And a lot of these days boards for the big companies are made with epoxy because they have so many benefits of being lighter and faster and more flexible in different ways. But for me, I just like to stick to the polyurethane, like the regular stuff. And yeah, I can't see myself making many epoxy boards down the line, but I do repairs on epoxy boards and on polyurethane, and yeah, they've got their own characteristics, and I tend to like the characteristics of polyurethane a lot more. But yeah. Yeah.
So like you said, important to know your local shaper.
Definitely.
But do you find that you have a lot of creative freedom in what you're doing?
I do. I have a lot of creative freedom when things are going good. Because that's a whole nother element to it, is like, I don't have money behind this and stuff. It's very week by week. And like I do work for a friend of mine who has a building company, like 1-2 days a week, and that sort of funds me when boards aren't doing so well, because it is such a temperamental industry of summer, like, you get a lot more people interested, and winter it's all the diehards, and so when it's quiet, it's hard to have that creative outlet of going, oh, I can spare a blank and just make something and get creative on it, compared to that blank's going to be delegated to making someone this board, which is a tough thing. It's like you've got all the material there, but you've got to, you can't have all the fun with it just yet. So I think now that I'm getting busier and getting more orders for customs and stuff, that possibility is looking freer, which is exciting, because like the same friends that I make boards for and myself, I'd love to just make white boards with no design and stuff, but really apply what I'd like to experiment with in shape and stuff like that, and then just pass them around the group for 6 months. You have it for a month, you have it for a month, come back and tell me what to change next time. I love that. So I'm hoping in the next year I can have a lot more creative freedom and sort of finding my style a bit more that way. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Do you have anything like specifically that inspires you, or are you kind of drawing from everywhere?
Drawing from a lot of places. Like, I definitely have inspirations and favourite shapers and favourite types of boards and stuff like that. So, like, my biggest people I love is just like George Greeno, who's from he lives in Byron Way, but he's one of the originals who used to just hand shape knee boards, and he's the knee board king. He's the reason we have the shape that fins are these days. He's the guy who modelled the shape of the fin. He makes boats and stuff, and he's 80 something now, living in Byron, like on his own sufficient farm. He surfs mats, like the inflatable mats, out at Lennox all the time. I used to see him and never talk to him. I wish I could, but people like that, just people who did it in times where so much of that world was really hard to attain. Like, if you were a surfboard shaper in those days, I can't imagine how hard that would have been. And George Greeno, Michael Peterson, and a few others, I love the way they used to make boards and what goes on in their mind into making boards, rather than just being the guy that makes heaps and heaps and heaps of boards. Every board you see of these guys, even these days, they're in museums and stuff, because there's so much care and thought and experimentalness about them that sticks out outside of the crowd. But for me, inspiration comes from everywhere. Like, working with a lot of the people in production, they inspired me massively. People around my age, like I used to work with guys, Connor and Riley, and they both make their own boards now. They're based in Burleigh, and they're the same. They're not like your textbook, oh, here's 10 short boards in a week that all look exactly the same. They're making asymmetrical boards. They're making like things that are just, I don't know what the word is, like pushing the boundaries, I guess. And they're not sorry for it, which is nice. There's so much honesty in that, and putting yourself out there, making something different with the risk of it being hated or shunned or anything, and not caring about that because it's what you want to do. So I like that. There's a lot of inspiration from those guys, but anything, it can be from anywhere. Painters give me inspiration, music, everything goes into it. So,
do you listen to music while you shape?
Every day. Music is a massive, massive part of my life.
What are you listening to?
Oh, anything. I'm a big music guy. I've got too many records and stuff at home that I just have all the time on. I love all my old stuff, so all your Dylan, all your Johnny Cash, all Joni Mitchell, anything around those realms, Led Zeppelin, and then African jazz, French jazz. Whatever you can throw at me that sounds nice, I like it. And that's another thing for inspiration. Is it's nice having working music that you dedicate to when you're working, it flows the creative juices, I guess. It's nice to, I don't know, some boards I've made, like I can look at them and go, oh yeah, I remember I was listening to this entire album that day, and it kind of shows here because it's a happier looking board, and that song helped me make that happen. But I don't know, I love music and it's a massive part. I'd go insane if I was just listening to the whirring of machines all day. I'd lose my mind.
And you kind of just said before, like you really respect people who are on that kind of innovative edge of experimental boards. But like you said, it is a kind of tough industry to make a living in. Like,
yeah.
Do you see for yourself kind of what that middle ground is of, like, perfect world?
Like, perfect world, obviously, you do have to make standard boards, and you have to give the client what they want, and next to no one wants to do something new or do something that doesn't have an answer yet. You can't look up a review on it online and see how it is. You're trusting your shaper at the end of the day. And I don't know, good middle ground would be, like what I was saying, just being able to have that freedom of making myself more boards that then go to my friends and good surfers around me and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's the way, really. But it's just making that happen. It's very hard. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah. Eventually.
Eventually, one day.
And what's something about like the whole kind of process or industry that just people would have no idea if they were on the outside of it?
How corrupt it is. Yeah, how corrupt it is in the big side of things. That's why it's nice to be outside of it and have my own avenue for it and leave out the corruptness. I think with anything, if it gets such massive scale to it and whatnot, you lose a grasp on it, and that allows for things to filter in that maybe shouldn't be there. And I don't know, I just found a few places I worked and stuff, like you always have the problems of you're doing extremely hard work all day in really nasty, toxic environments with the materials you use, and you're still chasing pay like months later and stuff for the job you go to every day. And that's hard because it's like the big dogs that can be found doing that. Like your local shaper's not going to employ someone and do that to them, which is a whole nother story. But I just think what goes into it, who's behind what goes into it, and also the big difference in, say, people who just CNC cut boards, which is putting a blank on a CNC machine with a spinning wheel and it just cuts out your board for you. The shaper just has to, there is skill in it, but you have to just rough out lines and marks from the machine versus getting a whole block and carving something out, and you're in charge of all that. But I think that's the thing, again, with the access. People don't get a real vision of seeing like, oh, all these boards are made by computers and this board's by someone who like is struggling to pay petrol this week and he's hustled it out and stuff. And there's so much advancements in the field now that even the smaller people in the making process, like what I used to do, just sanding, there's factories that make the big company boards now that implement like robotic sanders and to sand boards. And it's just such a crazy thought to me because there's always two sides of people who are fans of it for saying like, yeah, wow, this is incredible technology, there's avenues here. But then there's a lot of those people who hand shape and make boards out their backyard or have done it for years and done it in quotes the correct way that just go, what is happening? Like sanders are losing jobs now, and I don't know, it's losing a lot of its cornice like these George Greenos and Michael Petersons.
Losing a bit of the magic.
Yeah, if you told George Greeno in the 60s that a robot was going to be shaping and sanding boards one day, he'd tell you to get out of here. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
I think that's just like across like all fields in general, but especially creative fields. But I feel like we are at a bit of an inflection point as these like new technologies come in with the maybe capacity to replace the human element. Yeah. A lot of people are turning towards ultra handmade. Do you want like a $1 Kmart mug, or do you want to find a local ceramic artist who's making these beautiful handmade mugs that might have like quote unquote imperfections?
Exactly.
But that is the magic of it.
And that's use mugs as an example. You go to Kmart and you can get a 10-pack of nice little homey mugs for $20. You got 10 of them. Like, they're in your cupboard, you're not avidly thinking of them. You go to your local potter and you spend $50 to $100 on a handmade mug, and that thing stays with you for life. It's a special thing that you delegate towards drinking coffee. That's your coffee drinking cup. It's like, same with boards. Like, you can go to a shop and get this board. There's 10 different boards that are exactly the same that you could take home and, it's just one of those. I can always go to the shop if I need another one. Whereas the hand shape, it's like, it's personal. That's your own singular thing. No one has one like it. No one will have one like it because it's the only one that exists. So there's a big aspect to that, I think. The mass production versus the close quarters of getting it from someone local.
Like you said, it means something. Yeah. Like I have a Jerry Wade mug that my wife got him to make for my birthday, I think. And my daughter dropped it and cracked it, so like it leaks now. But I won't throw it out. Like, I'll keep it on my desk and just have it there. It's such a special, like you said, handmade. Like I know what he puts into them, and when like you said, your local shaper, you see the effort goes in, and you don't want to just chuck those things away.
That's it.
It becomes more than like the function of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You get those boards repaired. Like, you look in my bay and I've got 20 snapped mass production boards where people don't have that instant thought of, oh my God, this board means so much to me, I need to fix it. Whereas like something you had made for you from someone you know, or someone you just met, or tap into their world, of course you're going to fix that, and you want to keep that functional for as long as it can be. So it's funny. Yeah. It's a hard one.
Yeah. So what are you working on right now?
Lots of dings. I've always got dings coming through, which is good.
Like you said, that's part of it. That's part of the repair it, keep it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows people care about their boards, which is good. And they're not just deteriorating away or going into landfill. They're still continuing on life. So if I can help with that, that's good. But yeah, I've always got people bringing dings through every week, and I've got restorations on the go, like old 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s boards. I'm just slowly chipping away at fixing. And then other than that, it's just, organising all the customs list ahead and choosing what goes next and who's up next and what are they getting, and trying to make that all make sense at the moment. But yeah, it's nice just being able to do dings and then go into your other room and shape a board to get your eye in. And I don't know, then when one of your friends does come in to order a board, it's like, okay, I know exactly where we can go with this, and just work together in that. But it's been nice lately having a lot of crew coming around and expressing interest in getting a custom and whatnot, and especially in the time it is, like, everything's so expensive, so it's so hard to be able to fork out on something for yourself like that, but it means so much. It's better than going,
and that's the point, it's meant to last.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty special. So it's nice seeing a lot more interest these days, like working hard, just underground and stuff for a few years, and then you eventually put yourself out there, and it's all very daunting because you want to have more and do more, but when the more comes, it's like, oh man, I'm really in this thing now. So that's scary in itself too, but always plenty on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, you take like a lot of pride in like everything you've said, like that connection with who you're making the board for and the actual craft itself.
Yeah.
Do you maybe have any 1 or 2 projects that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I love my boards. Like the ones I made for myself, I just don't get off them. I refuse to get off them, and that's why I'm keen to make more, because I hope I can replicate that feeling over and over. And I know I'll miss the mark sometimes, but if I can do it a couple more times, I'm happy. But all in all, it's just been really nice seeing myself getting better through the boards I make. Like, I definitely made some rough boards at the start, as anyone does, and it's weird to now look at really nice, in my eyes, nicely finished boards and go, oh damn, like I am getting better. So that is nice. I made some boards for Yeo, where I work at the moment. That was sort of tapping into that realm of mass produced to the level of 4 boards, but copying boards to be exactly the same is a new thing for me, and that's definitely been a big lesson in advancing my skill. But yeah, I'd say those things. I'd just say being able to make a few customs recently that have worked for either the person I've made it for or myself, and really see that, and then doing these boards for Yeo House and hearing good feedback on them, like having a demo board accessible to the public that they can take out and tell me how it feels. And a couple have said, oh yeah, I don't know where you're going with this, but a lot of them have given me really good criticism, and that's helpful for the next batch I do. Yeah, it's good. It's nice having all these avenues at the moment.
Yeah. Cool. What does it look like in 5 years? What does Sticks by Sticks look like?
I don't know. I'd like to have a house. Hey? I'd like to live somewhere. Like, it'd be nice to have my own place, and I don't think that's 5 years. That might be 15 years or so. But I'm assuming I'll be in my own shed, like my own space on either family property or property I come into ownership of. I'd like to just have a space eventually where I can be down the road from my place of work, and that accessibility gets so much more done, because at the moment I drive 45 minutes to and from work every day, so it's taxing in a field where you don't make too much starting out. It's taxing filling up that tank of petrol every time and paying the bills, but that's what you do it for. If it's not hard, I don't think it's worth it, really. I don't think it is, at least. It should be hard. Yeah. Do you find that as well?
That it should be hard?
That, like, it shouldn't be you walk in straight away and you just know.
I'm definitely a big believer in like paying your dues. And like prior to kind of being involved with creative fields, I grew up in sport and like being involved with clubs and stuff, and especially playing senior sport when I was quite young. A big part of it is like, you got to earn your stripes kind of thing. Yeah. And I think it's a bit of I think that can be a bit of a limitation you can put on yourself when you have that belief. Because I think you can pay your dues in a lot of different ways, and you can kind of, I don't want to use the phrase prove your worth, except maybe prove your worth to yourself. And you can maybe do a lot more than you think you can do by putting in the effort. I don't think there's necessarily a timeline attached to it. Yeah, agreed. But I think there is like a requisite effort level. And you put in, like, you get out what you put in kind of thing.
100%. Yeah. And you get if it's hard, you're learning things and you're experiencing the tough of it. So you've got to know that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You've got to be good at getting past it. But yeah.
Do you have any advice for anyone who wants to get into shaping?
Talk to your local shaper, whoever it is. If it's a friend who's just getting into like making boards out their backyard, talk to them and learn off them and stuff. Or talk to these bigger guys that have years and years of knowledge, and like in the same thing, it's proving to the shaper kind of, I think across the board, they find so much more readiness to teach and or just give advice to those who really care about what goes into it, or more than just a transaction. Putting your head into factories and offer to sweep some floor for these older guys and whatnot, and then ask them questions, and they're probably happy to answer you. But yeah, I'd just say reach out on anything you don't know, and shapers definitely have the answers of how it is and what you need to do, but it's just getting that out of them. So be respectful and just ask away. Don't shy away from asking questions. Yeah, it's hard because so many people just really limit what they ask or feel like they're stepping into something they can't be in, and it's like, no. Like, I'm so excited when I hear young people coming into my bays quizzing me on how my boards are made and what's this tool for, what's that for? Oh, sick, this is for this, do you want to try it out? And like, that's a transaction to me, instead of, what goes into glassing? Oh, well, you do this. Okay, cheers, see ya. There's nothing in that. It's good being one-on-one with these crew. So I found that myself. I went into bays and I poked my head around and annoyed factories and annoyed shapers and was respectful doing it, I think. But that's what got me into it initially. I went to Queensland with nothing. I had my van, I packed all my stuff in it. I went from a good paying job here with my family and went over there on a hunch that I could just get a job in the field. I didn't have a job lined up. I had a rental lined up, and I was in a rental for just over a month until I got into a factory. And that's just from, like, I had 10 turnbacks of people that are like, no, we got nothing for you, but try here. Cheers for coming through and showing some love. Like, anyone that wants to get into the field of making boards, I recommend going to New South and Queensland, because that's where the industry really thrives and where all the suppliers are and stuff like that. But in general, I'd just say Instagram and stuff are so handy to contact a shaper if you can't walk into a factory, just to ask away. Like, yeah, you'll get so much out of that, I think, instead of searching up online. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Can I mention like a few people around that I think
for
are
sure.
good
Plug
people
away.
to go to?
Yeah.
I actually wrote down a couple.
Give them shout outs, and I'll add links and stuff in.
Cool.
So people can find who you mentioned.
Cool. Well, in general in SA, because as I'm saying, like, I think it's so important to, like, if you're a South Australian, get a South Australian made board. Like, there's so many good guys around that are hustling boards still and they don't get enough work, or you just don't know they're there. And for me, like, big guy in the dings world, if you have repairs you need done, is Leighton. He's in Hackham, the Ding King, and he's got a whole factory of just great workers. Everyone there makes boards or they fix boards, and all their individual brands are just, they pump out good boards, and they're people that sponsor the local Grom events and whatnot like that. They're good people. So they're local. Harry Freed makes fried surfboards, however you want to say it. He's brilliant. I'd contact him. He's based on the mid-coast, so not quite the Fleurieu, but down Port Nalunga way near where I live. other than that, Forbesy 96 Surfboards, he's in the same boat as me. He's just trying something he wants and like doing it his way. He doesn't have mentors and stuff to teach him what's going on. He used to work for Cutloose, I believe, in SA. He used to paint boards for him. So it's cool to see him transition from that, being like a hand in just one side of the field of it, to now he's having fun with it and making boards. And obviously Gravelle and stuff in Streaky Way, brilliant boards. But yeah, just mention those sort of guys. Robin Surfboards too, Rob, all very good local people that are those nice people that you won't butt heads with, or they won't shun you back. I think they're all good people to get advice from.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, if you're listening, go and check them out.
Yeah, sorry for the sponsorship.
No, that's great. That's awesome. Like for anyone who's interested and like to actually have an idea to know where to go, I think is huge. Yeah. And where can people find you?
I'm based in Port Elliot. I'm out the back of Year House, another lovely local venue. Yeah, I've got a little shed out the back there. It's 5/10 Elliot Street, Port Elliot. And yeah, if you ever want a beer, a coffee or food, Year House is good, as you know. Yeah. You're a very often customer. Yeah.
And Sticks by Sticks on Instagram?
Yeah, Sticks by Sticks on Instagram. Very little Instagram and still trying to polish that up, but that's where I put most of my boards out, and that's where I sort of take most of my contacts. So feel free to hit me up anytime if you got any questions.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure.
No, thanks for having me. It was good to chat.
Thanks so much for listening. This episode was recorded on Ngarrindjeri, Ramindjeri land on the Fleurieu Peninsula. Once again, I'm so grateful for all the love the show has been receiving. Make sure you follow along on socials, heaps_creative_pod, to keep up with what's going on. You can also head to Substack and subscribe to the Heaps Creative Podcast newsletter, which will be where I'll be sharing about what I've learnt from podcast guests, as well as keeping you up to date with what they're doing. You can also support the show financially if you'd like by heading to the Heaps Creative Podcast website and clicking on support the show. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.